What if I told you that right now, while most gardeners are putting their tools away for the season, you could be planting vegetables and herbs that will give you a harvest when everyone else's garden is frozen solid? Late October isn't the end of your growing season. It's actually a secret window that experienced gardeners use to get ahead of next spring and even harvest fresh food through winter. Today, I'm sharing 15 vegetables and herbs you can sow right now that most people have no idea will thrive in the cold. Number 11 is going to shock you because it actually tastes better after a frost, and number 15 will keep producing food on your windowsill all winter long. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have a complete late October planting plan that costs almost nothing but gives you months of fresh harvests. Hello, fellow garden lovers. Welcome back to Timeless Gardens, where we prove that growing your own food doesn't require a fortune or a degree in horticulture. If you're new here, welcome to the community. We're all about practical, budget-friendly gardening advice that actually works in the real world. No fancy equipment needed, no complicated techniques, just honest guidance from one gardener to another. To my loyal subscribers, thank you for coming back week after week. Your questions and success stories in the comments inspire every video we make. You're not just viewers, you're part of a growing community of people who believe that everyone deserves access to fresh, healthy food. Before we dig into these 15 plantings, here's my ask. If you find even one useful tip in this video, hit that like button. It helps more gardeners discover this information, and I truly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We post fresh gardening content every week, covering everything from seed starting to harvest preservation, all on a budget. Trust me, you want to catch every episode. Now, let's talk about what you should be planting this late October. Here's what most gardening guides won't tell you. Late October planting isn't about fighting against nature. It's about working with the natural rhythm of the seasons. Some plants actually prefer the cool soil and shorter days. They germinate better, grow stronger, and give you harvests that plants started in spring never could. Plus, there's a huge financial advantage here. Seeds sown now cost pennies, but they'll save you dollars when you're harvesting fresh greens in January instead of buying expensive organic produce at the store. So whether you're planting directly in the ground, starting seeds in containers, or preparing for indoor growing, these 15 plants are your late October champions. Let's get started. Number 1, garlic. This is the absolute champion of October planting. And if you only plant one thing from this entire list, make it garlic. Here's why. Garlic needs a period of cold dormancy to develop those big, beautiful bulbs you see at the farmer's market. When you plant garlic cloves now, they'll spend the winter developing strong root systems underground. Come spring, they'll shoot up green growth, and by early summer, you'll harvest bulbs that are bigger and more flavorful than anything you could grow from a spring planting. The best part? Garlic is incredibly low maintenance. You literally plant the cloves, mulch over them, and forget about them until spring. No watering through winter, no pest problems, nothing. Just free garlic growing while you're inside staying warm. Here's how to do it. Break apart a head of garlic into individual cloves, keeping the papery skin on. Plant each clove about 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart, pointy end up. Cover with soil, add a thick layer of mulch like straw or shredded leaves, and you're done. Each clove you plant will become an entire head of garlic by next summer. That's a return on investment that would make any investor jealous. Pro tip: don't use grocery store garlic because it's often treated to prevent sprouting. Buy seed garlic from a garden center or online, or better yet, save the biggest cloves from garlic you grew this year. Number 2, broad beans. Also called fava beans, these are the workhorses of the late autumn garden. Broad beans are incredibly hardy and can survive temperatures that would kill most other plants. We're talking down to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit once they're established. What makes them perfect for October planting? They actually prefer cool weather for germination. The seeds can rot in warm soil, but in the cool temperatures of late October, they germinate reliably and develop strong plants before winter really sets in. Here's the real magic. Broad beans are nitrogen fixers. That means they pull nitrogen from the air and store it in nodules on their roots. When you cut them down next spring or summer, all that nitrogen stays in the soil, feeding your next crop. You're essentially creating free fertilizer while growing free food. Plant them about 2 inches deep and 8 inches apart in well-drained soil. They'll sprout within a couple of weeks, grow a few inches, then basically pause for winter. When spring arrives, they'll explode with growth and give you a harvest months before your neighbor's spring-planted beans even flower. The young shoots are also edible and delicious in salads. So even if you don't care about the beans themselves, you've got a bonus crop of tender greens. Number 3. Spinach. Spinach is one of those vegetables that seems delicate, but it's actually incredibly tough when it comes to cold weather. Seed sown now will give you baby spinach leaves all through winter in many climates. And even in harsh winter areas, they'll overwinter as small plants and give you the earliest spring harvest imaginable. Here's what makes October-planted spinach special. The flavor is completely different from spring spinach. The cold temperatures trigger the plant to produce more sugars as a natural antifreeze, which means your spinach will be sweeter and less bitter than summer spinach ever could be. Sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 1 inch apart in rows. You can plant them much closer if you're planning to harvest baby leaves. Spinach germinates in cool soil, so don't worry about the dropping temperatures. Within 10 to 14 days, you'll see those first leaves pushing through. If you're in a very cold climate, consider covering your spinach bed with a simple cloche or row cover. This doesn't need to be fancy. An old window frame, some plastic sheeting on hoops, or even a thick layer of straw you can pull back when harvesting will extend your harvest dramatically. The best variety for fall sowing? Look for cold-hardy types like Bloomsdale or Winter Giant. These are bred specifically to handle freezing temperatures and still produce tender leaves. Number 4. Winter lettuce. Not all lettuce is created equal, and this is crucial for October planting. You need varieties specifically bred for cold tolerance. Look for names like Winter Density, Arctic King, or North Pole. These aren't just marketing names. These varieties have been selected over generations to thrive when others would fail. Winter lettuce planted now will germinate quickly in the still moderate soil temperatures. The plants will establish themselves before the really cold weather hits, then slow down but continue growing throughout winter. This means you can be harvesting fresh lettuce leaves on Christmas Day if you want. Plant seeds about 1/4 inch deep and thin them to about 6 inches apart once they sprout. If you're growing in containers, make sure they're at least 6 inches deep and have good drainage. Here's a money-saving tip. Lettuce seed is tiny, which means one packet contains hundreds of seeds. Don't plant them all at once. Sow a small patch every 2 weeks through November, and you'll have continuous harvest instead of a glut of lettuce all at once. Lettuce is also perfect for beginner gardeners because it's genuinely hard to kill. It germinates reliably, grows quickly, and even if you neglect it, you'll still get some harvest. That's my kind of plant. Number 5. Kale. Here's something interesting about kale that most people don't realize. It's actually a biennial, which means it naturally wants to live through winter and produce seeds in its second year. This makes it perfectly suited for fall planting. Kale planted in late October will establish strong root systems before winter. The plants will grow slowly through the cold months, and here's the amazing part. Frost actually improves the flavor. Kale that's been through a few frosts loses that bitter, sulfurous taste and becomes sweet and tender. Your October-planted kale will taste better in January than it ever could in July. Sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 12 inches apart. Kale is a bigger plant than lettuce or spinach, so it needs more room. But that also means each plant produces more food. One kale plant can give you harvest for months if you pick the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. The best part about kale? It's virtually indestructible. I've had kale survive under snow, bounce back from temperatures well below freezing, and keep producing leaves when everything else in the garden had given up. It's like the cockroach of the vegetable world, but in a good way. For October planting, choose varieties like Winterbore or Red Russian, both of which are specifically bred for cold tolerance and winter harvest. Number 6. Arugula. If you've only ever eaten grocery store arugula, you're missing out on one of the most flavorful greens you can grow. An October-planted arugula is in a league of its own because the cool temperatures bring out a complex, nutty flavor instead of the harsh peppery bite you get from summer arugula. Arugula is ridiculously fast-growing. We're talking ready to harvest in as little as 3 weeks from sowing. Even with shorter fall days and cooler temperatures, you'll be eating fresh arugula before Thanksgiving. Sow seeds very shallowly, just barely covered with soil, about an inch apart. Arugula seeds need some light to germinate, so don't bury them deep. You can scatter them fairly densely if you're planning to harvest baby leaves, which are incredibly tender and perfect for salads. Here's a fantastic trick. Arugula self-sows readily, which means if you let a few plants go to flower next spring, they'll drop seeds that will come up on their own next fall. You're creating a self-perpetuating arugula patch that requires zero effort. Arugula is also one of the cheapest crops to grow. One seed packet costs a couple of dollars and contains enough seeds for multiple plantings. Compare that to buying organic arugula at the store for $5 or $6 for a tiny plastic container. All right, we're at the halfway point, and I want to hear from you. Which of these plants are you most excited to try? Have you ever done any late October planting before? Drop your experience in the comments below. I read every single comment, and I love learning what works in your specific climate and garden. And if you're finding this valuable, smash that like button right now. It literally takes 1 second, but makes a huge difference in helping other gardeners find this video. Now let's talk about number 7, which is one of my personal favorites. Number 7, cilantro. Here's a frustrating thing about cilantro. When you plant it in spring or summer, it immediately bolts to seed in the heat. You get maybe 2 weeks of harvest before it's covered in flowers and the leaves turn bitter. But cilantro planted in October? Completely different story. Cool weather is cilantro's happy place. The plant has no reason to rush to seed when temperatures are dropping. So instead of bolting, it just keeps producing beautiful, flavorful leaves for months. I've had October planted cilantro last well into spring, giving me continuous harvest for more than 6 months from a single sowing. Plant seeds about ½ an inch deep and eventually thin to 6 inches apart. Cilantro has a taproot, so it doesn't like being transplanted. Direct sowing is the way to go. The seeds look like little round balls, and they're actually 2 seeds fused together. So don't be surprised when you get 2 seedlings from 1 seed. Here's a bonus. If you let some plants go to seed eventually, you'll get coriander, which is just the seed of the cilantro plant. So you're growing 2 different spices from 1 plant. And those seeds will fall and give you volunteer cilantro plants next season. For anyone who's never successfully grown cilantro because it always bolts, October planting will change your experience completely. This is the secret to abundant cilantro harvests. Number 8, parsley. Parsley is another biennial that actually wants to live through winter, which makes it perfect for fall planting. There are 2 types, flat-leaf Italian parsley and curly parsley. Both work beautifully for October sowing, though flat-leaf tends to be slightly more cold-hardy. Here's the thing about parsley. It's notoriously slow to germinate. We're talking 2 to 3 weeks sometimes. But October-planted parsley will germinate faster than spring-planted because the soil is still warm from summer. You get quicker germination now than you would in early spring when the soil is just thawing. Plant seeds about ½ inch deep and thin to about 8 inches apart once they're established. Parsley grows slowly at first, but once it takes off, each plant produces abundant leaves that you can harvest continuously. The flavor of cold weather parsley is incredible. It's less bitter and more aromatic than summer parsley. And because parsley is so expensive to buy fresh at the store, growing your own saves serious money, especially if you use it regularly in cooking. 1 plant will give you enough parsley for months of cooking. Just keep harvesting the outer stems, and the plant will keep producing from the center. It's like having a fresh herb factory right outside your door. Number 9, chives. Chives are perennial herbs, which means once you plant them, they come back year after year. But starting them from seed in October gives you a head start on next year's growth. And you can even get some harvest this winter if conditions are right. Chive seeds are small and black, and they germinate fairly quickly even in cool soil. Plant them about ½ inch deep in small clusters. Chives naturally grow in clumps, so planting several seeds together mimics their natural growth pattern. What makes chives special for October planting? They're incredibly cold hardy. I'm talking survive under snow hardy. They'll dive back in the hardest freezes, but pop right back up when temperature's moderate. And if you're growing them in pots, you can bring them inside for a windowsill herb garden all winter. Chives also produce beautiful purple flowers in spring that are edible and look gorgeous in salads. But more importantly, those flowers attract beneficial insects to your garden. So you're not just growing food, you're supporting the whole garden ecosystem. One packet of chive seeds will give you enough plants to share with neighbors, and they'll keep producing for years with almost zero maintenance. That's incredible value for a couple of dollars. Number 10. Mache. Also called corn salad or lamb's lettuce. Mache is virtually unknown in American gardens, but European gardeners have been growing it for centuries specifically because of its cold hardiness. This green can survive temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit without protection. Mache has small, tender leaves with a mild, slightly nutty flavor. It's the kind of green that costs a fortune at fancy restaurants but grows like a weed in your October garden. The seeds are tiny, so mix them with a little sand before sowing to help spread them evenly. Plant seeds very shallowly, just pressing them into the soil surface. They need light to germinate. Thin to about 4 inches apart, though you can grow them more densely if you're harvesting baby leaves. What makes mache perfect for late October is that it actually performs better in cold weather than warm. It thrives when other greens struggle, and it's incredibly productive. One small bed of mache can give you continuous salad harvests all winter long. The plants are also beautiful, forming little rosettes of leaves that look almost ornamental. If you're growing food in your front yard or in containers, mache is attractive enough to pass as decorative while secretly being incredibly productive. Number 11. Pak choi. Here's the surprise I mentioned at the beginning. Pak choi, also called bok choy, is one of those vegetables that genuinely tastes better after being exposed to frost. The cold triggers the plant to produce sugars, making the leaves and stems sweet and crisp instead of bitter. Pak choi is a fast-growing Asian green that's packed with nutrients and incredibly versatile in cooking. Planted in late October, it will germinate quickly and establish before winter. Depending on your climate, you might even get a harvest before the hardest freezes, or the plants will overwinter and give you very early spring harvests. Sow seeds about ½ inch deep and thin to about 6 inches apart. Pak choi grows quickly, even in cool weather, and the baby leaves are delicious in salads while the mature plants are perfect for stir-fries. Choose varieties specifically bred for fall and winter growing, like winter pak choi or joy choi. These have been selected for cold tolerance and slow bolting. Here's why this matters. Pak choi bought at the store is expensive and often limp by the time it reaches you. Homegrown pak choi harvested fresh is crisp, flavorful, and costs pennies to grow. You're getting restaurant-quality vegetables for backyard prices. Number 12. Radishes. Radishes are the speed demons of the vegetable world. From seed to harvest in as little as 3 weeks, even in cool weather. This makes them perfect for late October, because you'll actually get a harvest before winter really sets in. Fall radishes are different from spring radishes. The cool weather makes them crisper and less pungent. No more harsh, burning radishes. October radishes are mild, sweet, and incredibly crisp. Sow seeds about ½ inch deep and 1 inch apart. You can succession plant radishes every week or 2 right into November in many climates. Each sowing will give you fresh radishes about 3 weeks later. Here's a trick most gardeners don't know. Radish greens are edible and delicious. They're peppery like arugula and packed with nutrients. So you're actually getting 2 vegetables from one plant. Use the greens in salads or sauté them like any other green. Radishes are also fantastic for teaching kids about gardening because they grow so fast. Plant them with a child, and they'll see results in less than a month. That instant gratification builds lifelong gardening enthusiasm. For fall planting, try varieties like Cherry Belle or French Breakfast, both of which handle cool weather beautifully. Number 13. Onions from sets. Onion sets are small bulbs that have been grown from seed, then dried and stored. When you plant them in October, they develop roots through winter and give you green onions or scallions all through the cold months, then mature into full bulbs next summer. This is different from planting onion seeds, which is more complicated. Sets are foolproof. You literally push them into the soil about an inch deep, pointy end up, space them about 4 inches apart, and you're done. Through winter, you can harvest the green tops as scallions anytime you need them. The bulb underground will keep producing more greens. Come spring, if you let them keep growing, they'll form proper onion bulbs. Onion sets are incredibly cheap. A bag containing dozens of sets costs just a few dollars and will give you months of harvests. Compare that to buying green onions at the store every week. Here's a bonus tip. Save the root ends when you use store-bought green onions. Plant those root ends in October, and they'll regrow. You're essentially getting free onions from what would have been trash. For October planting, choose sets labeled for fall or overwintering planting. These varieties have been selected specifically for cold tolerance. Number 14, dill. Most people think of dill as a spring herb, but October planted dill is where the magic happens. Like cilantro, dill planted in cool weather doesn't rush to seed. Instead, it produces abundant feathery leaves for months. Dill is also self-sowing, which means if you let plants go to seed eventually, you'll have volunteer dill plants appearing for years. You plant it once, and it keeps coming back on its own. That's my favorite kind of gardening. Sow seeds very shallowly, just barely covered with soil, about 8 inches apart. Dill has a long taproot and doesn't like transplanting, so direct sowing is essential. The seeds germinate quickly, even in cool soil. Beyond the culinary uses, dill attracts beneficial insects like ladybugs and parasitic wasps that help control garden pests. So even if you don't love eating dill, it's worth growing just for the beneficial insects it brings to your garden. Fresh dill is also expensive to buy and goes bad quickly in the fridge. When you grow your own, you have constant access to fresh dill without the waste or the cost. Just step outside and snip what you need. Number 15, parsley for windowsill growing. This is the bonus option I mentioned at the beginning. While parsley can survive outdoors in many climates, starting in pots now for indoor growing gives you fresh herbs all winter with zero outdoor gardening required. Plant parsley seeds in pots at least 6 inches deep with good drainage. Place them in a sunny window, and within a few weeks, you'll have fresh parsley growing indoors. This is perfect for apartments, cold climates, or anyone who wants fresh herbs without going outside in winter. The key to successful indoor herb growing is drainage and light. Make sure your pots have drainage holes and place them in the sunniest window you have. If natural light is limited, even a small grow light will keep your parsley thriving. Indoor parsley will produce continuously if you harvest correctly. Always take the outer stems and leave the center growing. Each plant will keep producing new stems from the middle for months. This is also incredibly budget-friendly. One pot of parsley eliminates the need to buy those overpriced plastic containers of herbs at the grocery store. And your homegrown parsley will taste better because it's harvested minutes before you use it, not days before it reaches the store. So there you have it, 15 vegetables and herbs you can sow right now in late October. Let's quickly recap. Garlic for summer bulbs, broad beans for nitrogen fixing and early harvests, spinach for sweet winter greens, winter lettuce for Christmas salads, kale that tastes better after frost, fast-growing arugula, cilantro that won't bolt, slow but steady parsley, perennial chives, exotic mache, sweet pak choy, speedy radishes, onion sets for scallions, self-sowing dill, and indoor parsley for your windowsill. The beauty of October planting is that you're setting yourself up for success with minimal effort. These plants will work for you through the quiet winter months, developing roots, storing energy, and preparing to give you the earliest possible harvest next year. And many of them will feed you all winter long. Now I want to hear your planting plans. Which of these 15 are you going to try? What's your climate like? And what challenges are you facing in your garden right now? Drop all your questions and thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and I love helping troubleshoot specific situations. If this video gave you some ideas and inspiration, please hit that like button. It makes a huge difference in helping this content reach more gardeners. And if you're not subscribed yet, click that subscribe button right now. We post practical gardening content every single week, covering everything from seed starting to harvest, composting to pest control, all with a focus on budget-friendly methods that actually work. Share this video with a gardening friend. October planting is one of those secrets that experienced gardeners know, but beginners often miss. You could be helping someone have their most productive garden year ever. Remember, gardening doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. With $15 worth of seeds and a little bit of soil preparation, you can set yourself up for months of fresh, organic produce. That's the power of working with nature instead of against it. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you spending this time learning about late October planting. Until next week, keep growing, keep experimenting, and keep enjoying the incredible rewards that come from growing your own food. This is Timeless Gardens, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy planting!